Well, I'm going to talk now about a marriage experiment that Bella Elwood Clayton did. Now, she wrote about it in the Sydney Morning Herald. She's been married for 10 years and did a 10-day experiment. She felt like her marriage needed a little bit of help, as I imagine all of us do. So she started out with something really simple on the first day, like saying, I love you. And she didn't want her husband to cotton on to the fact that she was doing this experiment, all the way up to grand gestures by the end of the 10 days.
She even cooked him a meal, I think, at the end, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully...
This is the grand gesture.
Yeah, that is the grand gesture.
I love it. Is that what happens after 10 years?
Stop cooking.
But she wanted to sort of dig deeper and go, OK, does kindness engender kindness? You know, is that going to sort of bring us back to a point of more peace? What do you think? Would you do it? Have you done it?
I don't know that I can say that I've done this in particular. I've tried reading the Love Dare book. Have you all heard of the Love Dare book?
No.
Well, it's similar, but I think it's 30 days of little challenges that you do in the hopes, you know, of improving your relationship or having this more passionate relationship. What I loved about this compared to Love Dare is that she was so honest. Like, she'd say, I did this, but it didn't work, you know? So I definitely have it on my horizon to do, but I just have to figure out when to do it in a way that, you know, would work for me and Pete.
Honesty is awesome, though, and I love that she was really honest, too, because she's like, yeah, day 6 was a fail. I didn't have it in me. And then she tried again the next day. Yeah. It was great.
I think it really helps, but, well, I guess firstly is I don't think I've been married long enough for us to try that experiment, so, you know, we're still in the... Oh, I
still
love
in
you.
bliss.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
What,
together?
almost 4 years.
Yeah.
We've been together for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look, see,
yeah.
10 years. It's a long time.
But not married for that long. So, yeah, I really do think that kindness does beget kindness, because that's how I actually try to treat my husband all the time. And, you know, and maybe we're just really laid-back people, but we don't fight that often as well. So it works, I think.
That's nice. Oh, look, my husband and I get on really well, but there comes a point, because we're so different, we sort of go into different areas to survive when we're under pressure. And I have to confess, I've actually tried things like this to go, OK, just let's recenter this, you know, regroup sort of thing. And I haven't done a 10-day experiment or a formal experiment, but I have had the same thoughts where I'm like, OK, dig deeper, choose kindness and just put it out there. But I've also had those days where I'm like, it's not working today.
But I think it comes down to honesty as well, because that's the other thing. Wow, I mean, I say that we don't fight, but we do have disagreements and stuff like that. And that's when it's not about stewing about it, but actually just saying, wow, there is an issue right now. Let's talk about it and figure out how we can work things through.
And getting on the same page, I guess, is important, which I find with Brendan and I, if we're not on the same page, all havoc breaks loose, and I don't stop until I get my point across. So we can go on for days if it needs to be. But I think at the same time, having an attitude of gratitude is very important when, and it's easier when we're getting along. When we're not getting along, well, all that's out the door.
Yeah.
But I know that when I think of the times that I'm thankful for him and, you know, being the father and provider of our family, that helps, I guess, in terms of having a better attitude when he comes home and being able to do some of the tips that she said, like cooking dinner and saying I love you, which is something that we do anyway, so, yeah.
I think it's just the intentionality that you're putting into it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that she mentioned was that any issues that were underlying, they were still there. So it's like you're being nice. It's kind of like you're, you know, putting lipstick on a pig. Like if there's an issue, you're like starting to be really nice to your spouse. I mean, it does kind of, it creates an environment where you can have those conversations, but it doesn't fix the underlying issues. So I think that that's what it's good for creating this environment where you can start looking at what's actually happening in your marriage.
I think like when you say it's an intentional thing, you really have to think about sometimes doing it, because you sort of subconsciously get onto track sometimes, and I think that's probably one of the most important things.